going. Okay. Now, here is what I did to dry my platter. Once I got it a little bit stiffer on the edge, I covered it with towels. So that's why I asked several of you all to put towels over yours. You want it to dry slowly and evenly. Like, you don't want to have a real dry spot on your rim. Like, if one side gets dry on a platter and you go to trim it, you're going to have trouble, because it's definitely going to have an uneven dryness to the foot, and then part of it would be lower, part of it would be higher, type of a thing. So towels help to regulate, and this is all leather hard. There's no sticky quality to it. Now, because this is so large, I don't want to pick it up by the rim and flip it, because if I warp the platter right now, it might have memory, and it might come back during the glaze firing where it could warp like that. So I'm going to take a clean bat, and I'm going to put it on top, and then I'm going to flip the whole thing. Kind of heavy. Okay. And remember, we talked about it, you might have to cut platters multiple times. So like, I cut it the day after, I cut it again when it was stiffer and I wanted to let it dry, type of thing. Okay. And let's get that bat onto the wheel. Now, I'm not using a Giffen grip because I know mine is too large for the Giffen grip. You guys can use a Giffen grip if it fits. Okay, this might take me a moment. There's one hole. Now I just got to get it in the other hole. There we go. Okay. All right. Now that it's on there, I want to look at the edge and try to make sure that the edge appears centered. Turn my power on. So that looks pretty close. Okay. Now, to get this to stick, I'm going to use some lugs. And the lugs, I'm just going to put around the edge to help hold it in place. And you always want to make sure that your piece is stiff enough so when you put lugs on, you don't damage. Because if your rim was soft and you did this, you could squish the lug and damage your rim. All right, normally on smaller pieces, I usually only would do like 3 lugs, but this is big, so I'm doing 5. Okay, so it's a platter. So it has to have a fairly wide foot. So my plan was, thinking about the interior of where the angle was, I want the outside of the foot to probably be about here. So this is excess clay. Then I'm going to make the inside of the foot. And then I'm going to show you, if you want to do it, I'm going to show a double foot ring. The double foot ring is so if you have a really wide, broad spanse, it gives you support in the middle. So during the glaze firing, if it has a tendency to slump, that double foot ring will give you support. Okay. So as you're doing a platter, if you can corral some of your stuff and put it like on the wheel rather than getting it on the floor, that's helpful, because of course if it goes on the floor, I don't recycle it. At home, when I do this, I put down big like bath towels on the floor to catch my stuff. Yeah. And honestly, at home, I recycle what I get on my floor because I keep my floors clean in my studio.
Yeah,
so.
it's your home, it's not school.
Yeah.
All the dirty shoes everywhere.
And the hair that ends up on the floor in here is just so icky. Yeah. All right. So trimming the outside. This is a lot of weight. Obviously, I'm taking off. Okay. And notice that even though I can't lock my elbows to my legs, I have my elbows locked to my sides when I do this to help keep it even. But if you're working smaller, you can certainly lock them to your legs. I think I'm going to be a mess today. What do you think?
Yeah, probably.
Okay. And I'm stopping before I get into the lugs because I don't want to start carving away the lugs there. So I'm putting kind of a nice height on the foot ring because I don't want my glaze to come down and get stuck down there. Okay, and then now the inside of the foot ring is where I'm going to be doing something different. This is when I had talked about doing an undercut. I want to make a foot ring where I can physically hang it on a wall. Okay. I'm going to make the undercut on the big one. So in here, I'm just going to take this flat. And certainly you guys don't have to do a double foot ring. I wanted to show you this though, that it is an option that can be done. And obviously, if yours fits on the Giffen grip, just use a Giffen grip, that's fine. You could use the sticky bat that we have as well. Okay, now I'm gonna make this part flat. If you're concerned about the thickness and you can't tell your thickness, you know, see me, but hopefully you guys have left enough at the base so you can do this. Trimming the platter is easier than throwing the platter, as long as it's the right moisture. That's why some of you guys who were trying to use a hairdryer and you wanted to dry it, I would never recommend that, because that, if you're drying it, you're really just drying the surface of it, and then you're still soft down in there a little bit lower, and that's problematic for you when trimming. Okay. All right, now I'm going to start the undercut. So as I do the undercut, I'm angling, I'm angling my trim tool, kind of get right in there. So it goes up. So when I put a hook on the wall, the hook will go up in there.
So much scrap.
So much scrap. I should weigh it. I'm probably going to have,
At least 2 pounds.
yeah, could be 3 pounds even.
By the time you're done, maybe.
Yeah. But it should hopefully make this a lot more functional to have it lighter, because no one wants to hold an 18-pound platter with turkey on it, right? So I'm just trying to trim off quite a bit. All right, so I'll take a couple more minutes to refine this. If you guys want to sit here and watch it, that's totally fine. You've got the entire gist of how I'm doing it at this point. I'll take a couple more minutes before I take it off, and then I'll call you back for showing the base. Sound good? Okay.
Question.
Uh-huh.
How do you smooth out the rim? Like, you know how you said you can't go any further down because of the lugs?
I'll wait at the very last. I'll take the lugs off, and then I'll just smooth it out with my rib.
Just like one time?
Yeah.
But how do you make sure it stays centered then?
I'll probably press on my foot a little bit. I didn't need to trim down that far. I just need to tidy it.
Yeah, I don't think using the rib would be as much problematic. I mean, like, it won't skip as much as, like,
Yeah.
trim tool.
Yeah.
Do you only have 2 Pacifica Griffin grips?
I do.
Okay.
Because we have more of the Brents, I have 3 of those.
Jason, after I finish trimming this, I'm done trimming.
Okay.
Who's at 10?
Jason, you can use mine. I need a blow dry.
Okay.
Oh, there we go.
Well, my eyebrows were already so long. Yeah, but the dye came out so fast that it was
There we go. I think I like that undercut. It seems like it'll be stable. First time I ever made them, they weren't quite enough, and they don't like to stay on the hooks, dependably. They're a little scary. Gonna smooth that. I always like to make sure that the bottom of the foot is super smooth on a platter, because you don't want to scratch up your Thanksgiving table. Do you have a question or just?
I'm also watching too, but so like the white crackle, like if it's like thinner or thicker, will that like depend on like how much crack it will be, or that just solely on like?
The white crackle is a very thin glaze.
Okay,
It's
yeah,
normally
I did notice
thin.
that. Yeah.
Usually, I think 2 to 3, you'll be good with either 2 to 3 coats.
All right.
Yeah. Okay, so now that I've taken those off, now I can just tidy up out here. There is a ridge. Maybe I'll just get rid of that. The platter itself is heavy enough, and I'm pressing very lightly that I wasn't concerned about it moving. Okay, now the moment of truth. I want to see what it feels like. Still a little thick right there. I'm going to bring that in just a little bit more. Okay, so I'm going to take this down just a little bit more because I felt like that was still a little thick. Now let's try smoothing that again. So I'm going to just slide that off again and see what that feels like. That feels much better. It was definitely way too thick the first time. That feels a little bit more uniform. Okay. And then I'm just going to let it dry upside down. Okay, I'm going to